problem with it. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't a hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into a Thursday. If you're on the channel expecting a what to expect, I'm here to tell you we spent about an hour last night watching Mississippi State's offense. So if you want to see it, it's over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. If you're here tonight to load up some questions, we already got them loaded up in the chat. Appreciate you guys for being here tonight. Love Q&As with you guys. It's an opportunity to kind of craft my skills off on the top of my feet. Obviously, I'm really good at it, right? But no, it's an opportunity for me, guys, to get close to you guys in terms of answering the questions you guys want to know. I come to you guys typically with what I want to tell you. This is a good opportunity for me to kind of answer whatever it is you want to answer. Appreciate you guys for being here. Hit that thumbs up whilst you're here. If you're not already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know a lot of you guys are probably converts from my Twitter page. Who knows what's going on with the Bird app? It's getting wild over there, all right? Yeah, we had to pay for verification. We got it finally. I obviously paid for Twitter Blue in the first place. I thought it was a good concept. It's all gone to smithereens since. But hey, hopefully they hold on to the platform because good Lord knows we love being over there. It's a great time. I enjoy Twitter quite a bit. So hope you guys, if you're not already, follow us over there. But no, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't think YouTube's going anywhere. They don't seem to be getting bought out by billionaires with, some ideas about what to do with new toys they've paid $44 billion for. But nonetheless, welcome into live Q&A. We are going to start today's show with questions from the Patreon account. Put out, this morning, told the Patreon account we are going to load up some Q&A. Had about 12 to 15 submissions over there, so we're going to hit those guys first. And then, of course, we will hit the Super Chats next, and then we will get to the rest of the YouTube comments because they are already loaded down. So got a lot of questions to get to tonight. I'll try to be brief, try to be tight, try to learn from some of the professionals in the business about, hey, be working 90-second windows. I've been by myself in this industry, just talking to dead air, talking to dead rooms in this studio we built by ourselves in here. So self-produced, nobody even to look at me and say, hey, you've gone 3 minutes on stuff. So we don't get as many questions as most people on Q&As, but I think it's kind of my bag. I think that's why people like me, the in-depth answers that we get. Anyways, let's get after it. All right, True Story Bro over on Patreon asks, obviously this wouldn't happen at UGA, but what do you think about Kelee Ringo moving to safety in the NFL? So this question comes up a lot, particularly about defensive backs that Georgia recruits, right? Big, tall, long, fast guys. Sometimes they can be a little tight in the hips. Some people think they just struggle to turn and run. They can struggle to turn and run sometimes, but once they get turned and once they get running, they're freaks of nature. They end up getting back on top and making plays on footballs like Kelee did against Tennessee. So the question, can he make the move to safety? The number one question you have to answer, the number one box you have to check if you're going to make such a transition is not just how big, tall, fast are you, right? But it's whether or not you're physical, whether or not you have a tendency to strike. I watch Kelee Ringo on Saturdays have a willingness to strike. So yeah, if the future of Kelee Ringo in the NFL depends upon whether or not he can go from corner to safety and whatever team drafts him, if that's what it ultimately ends up being, which I don't think it will be, yes, I think he's more than capable of making such a transition. All right. Again, we're hitting the Patreon questions first. If you want to get in on these next week, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. Kayla Mathis asks, how do you feel Nolan's absence will affect the team? Is it possible the pass rush improves while the rush defense takes a hit? So what he's basically saying is Nolan a better run defender than he is a pass rusher? I would say no. I would say that if Nolan were on the field Saturday against Tennessee, in which the defensive strategy was kind of get everyone a multitude of one-on-ones and have some free rushers because we're sending pressure and playing cover one behind it, sometimes cover two behind it, I think Nolan would have thrived in an environment like that, no different than the rest of the football team. You have 6 sacks, accredited for 6. You probably really had 8, right? So I think he would have had as much success as the rest of the football team Saturday. So that's not necessarily indicative upon Nolan's absence, right? Our first game, or your first game rather, without him, not an opportunity to really gauge that. However, you are I'm not going to say much worse in the run category, but Nolan Smith was one of your better run defenders that you had because he's super instinctual, right? Was always in the right place, always in the right gap, always in the right, always with the right and correct leverage and good eyes and good shoulders, right? So that helps you against teams that run a lot of read option. That helps you with a lot of teams that are a lot of quarterback run, designed option type deals like that. So Nolan's absence is a major deal. The great news is you've got such good depth and such great talent behind that, and you already know that. Chandler Johnson asks, what will it actually take to beat Georgia? Turnovers. You're going to have to create turnovers and force Stetson to have one of those games, right? Force him to have a 2021 Florida, where first 3 quarters of the football game, I would argue he looked kind of stagnant until it was the 38-yard play action touchdown pass to Karius Jackson off of the interception, right? So I believe it's an interception. Yeah. So those types of plays, those types of moments of stagnation with Georgia's offense, that's what it will take to beat Georgia. And you're definitely going to have to make them turn it over because you're not going to score a bunch. So you're going to have to get some short fields. The defense is just too good. Matt Landry says, if you are an NFL scout, I like to think of myself as, who would be your first, second, and third most draftable QBs in this year? I don't necessarily feel comfortable answering this question, Matt, because I don't love any of them. I don't. I've been an anti-Will Levis guy from the jump, and I like Bryce Young a ton. I like Hendon Hooker a bit, but I'm not like bullish on Bryce Young's ability to maybe play, let's say, 15 years. That dude holds the football a long time in this offense that he's in right now at Alabama, and he gets hit a lot. If you watch him, he's getting hit a good bit. So I'm not necessarily bullish on anybody in this draft exactly. I love next year's draft and the year after. I'm all over Caleb Williams, and I love Drake May as well. Evan asks, now that Arian Smith is fully healthy, do you think we see more deep shots to him the remainder of the season? I'll say this, Evan, I don't think he's fully healthy. If you actually, well, he's a Patreon member, so he probably saw this. If you watched our film study, the All-22 film study Tuesday of what the offense was doing, kind of, we particularly watched Stetson. You'll notice that the ball that Arian caught, he wasn't really getting on top of the corner. He wasn't separating, wasn't pulling away. He wasn't looking like a guy that's a 10-1 in the 100. That's not what we saw on tape from this past weekend. I don't think he's 100% yet. I think he will be. Let's see here. Let's get to this comment. It's not a question. The Baxter Street Boys really bringing a lot to the community. That's 100% facts. They've been banging out great shows. They do a great job, as does Dan Kiley, rather, and the boys on 4 Wide on Sunday afternoon. Go check all those guys out if you haven't already. Stetson Ledford asking your eyes, what's Georgia's biggest weakness? No X receiver right now. I think that's the primary and only really concern for me. I think other than that, they're a flawless football team. Noel Calderon says, what positions does UGA need to recruit harder so they don't have a year like Bama is having this year? I don't know if Bama's year this year is necessarily about one bad class or a stack of bad classes, because that's what it takes for Georgia to kind of fall, quote unquote, fall off. And I don't think Bama's fallen off yet. For it to happen, it takes multiple of these things, right? Multiple, quote unquote, mediocre classes, right? You see Georgia start stacking 5th ranked classes, 6th ranked classes, 7th ranked classes. Pay attention, because for 7 years now, Kirby Smart's recruited in the top 3. Pay attention to that. That will be the quote unquote demise, right? People in the comments talking about Alabama being over. I'm not willing to do that. Andrew Main, really, really long question here, but it's got multiple likes, so we're going to hit it. Everyone says that a dynasty doesn't just fall off a cliff. However, it's Bama related. What if the Bama dynasty has been slowly downhill since Kirby left? The intensity and physicality lingered for a while, but now it's not who Bama is. I think Kirby's absence is starting to finally show just how much of Bama's dynasty was due to Kirby, and does Bama continue to regress as Georgia ascends to greatness? I think it's a combination of losing not only Kirby Smart, but Glenn Schumann, who have been like revolutionaries in terms of modern defense stopping modern offense. Those guys are now not only off of Bama staff, but on one collective staff on the other division, or on the flip side of your conference, right? So I think that's a major key. But not only that, it's offensively too. If you notice what they have lost, it's not only been Lane Kiffin, but it's Sarkisian leaving, and then it's replacing him with Bill O'Brien, who's a good football coach. Don't get me wrong. Ultimately, probably going to get, I would imagine, some head coaching jobs or opportunities, some offensive coordinator jobs, opportunities moving forward. Good football coach by all means. Wasn't the guy that left, right? Wasn't Steve Sarkisian by any means, and he's having to run Sarkisian's offense. So I'm seeing a lot. Like I'm not saying it's as bad as what Kentucky's going through right now with the loss of Liam Cohen from last year, but when you watch one coordinator leave who is great at what he does, be replaced by a really good football coach who's being asked to do everything that the really great football coach was doing, man, that'd be like me grabbing someone who's really, really good. I think Cole Wilcox is a great host, okay? Our Baxter Street Boy host. I think he is a great host. If you asked him to do what I do, I don't think he could do it, and vice versa. I don't think that show would be as fun if I did it. So long story short, losing great coordinators over and over and over again eventually will take its toll. And here's the other thing, and this isn't my kind of take. This is kind of an overview of landscape of college football, because I'm sure we're going to get this question moving forward. The biggest difference that I've seen is that, like, when Bama got caught, and I think it was like 2013, 2014, right? It was like 2010 to when they first won it against with Colt McCoy or whatever in Texas. It was like 11, 12, 13. They got really, really great. And then the random losses to Ole Miss started piling up, right? And Bo Wallace. And it looked like college football had kind of caught them, right? Modern offense had kind of caught Bama, and it's no longer this fullback heavy football where it's the SEC, it's ground and pound, win 10-7. No, it's no longer that. It's all of a sudden, shit, we're losing to Utah and Oklahoma in bowl games. Like, what is going on? Once that started happening, Bama had an evolution. Just like, we got great players, but now we're getting out schemed. So they had an evolution. They brought their football program to modern offense. Well, now everybody's got modern offense, and there's this other monster just on the other side of the conference that's now not only matching you in player acquisition, but probably beating you in player acquisition and player development. I think over the last 2 years, that's it's indefensible. If you're a Bama fan listening to tonight's show, there is no doubt about it. Georgia just put 15 guys in the damn league, 5 of them in the first round, broke all kinds of records, modern NFL draft records, shattered them, and then the next year looks like the most talented and deepest football team again. So I don't think there's any question that one football team in the conference has stacked talent better than Alabama. We haven't said that in 12 years. So is Bama dead? I don't know, but Georgia sure as shit is alive, and that's probably scaring Bama fans. I would imagine it probably should. You've reigned supreme over this conference and this sport for so long. I think it's no longer in terms of you just being the superpower that we can guarantee and mark in and put in the box every single year. I don't think that exists anymore. Who's the better matchup in the SEC championship game, Bama, LSU, or Ole Miss? I don't think any of them. I think all of them have their flaws, right? I think Georgia can get after Bama and Bryce Young. I don't think the weapons over there necessarily scare anybody. If you watch how teams are playing Alabama, that kind of checks out. Okay. The weapons don't really scare Georgia. Just like, Tennessee's weapons don't scare Georgia. No one's really are moving forward from playing man coverage. You watch. They will walk out there. Maybe Ohio State. Maybe. Okay, maybe Ohio State will scare them from walking out and playing cover 1 or cover 2, man under. But outside of that, there is no real bad matchup for Georgia. I think LSU's offense, and particularly what Brian Kelly does offensively, they have never looked very decent against Georgia. I think the most they've scored is 21 points, maybe 17 points against Georgia, and they had Notre Dame's like full depth of recruiting rosters. Now, LSU's running a little bit more athletic-based offense than he was at Notre Dame. He's running an SEC version of what he had up there. It's a Ferrari, not a bulldozer, but the same point resides. They haven't had a ton of success against Georgia defensively, Brian Kelly that being. So, and quarterbacks whose first read is the tuck and run, or if the read is cloudy, I don't necessarily trust it. I'm going to become an athlete now. There's a long list of those quarterbacks that have faced Kirby Smart, and the results do not bear out. They do not look great. Okay. So I don't know. The LSU matchup for me is not necessarily troublesome. Ole Miss, however, If you can run the football, I think you have an opportunity to beat anybody if you can lean on them. And Ole Miss has probably one of the better and more creative run games in college football. But again, the gimmicky stuff rarely ever, if ever, works against Georgia's defense. Way too gap sound. That guy TV asks, BMAC is also a passing game coordinator. Can you explain what he actually does? And do you think he could be our next OC? I'm not here to demean titles. I'm not. I would imagine if you checked Brian McClendon's Wikipedia page, he probably had passing game coordinator titles at his previous job. So the way this works in the coaching world, you're not going to take a title down, even if the title is just a title. Does Brian McClendon sit in and talk about route concepts and what they like and design the passing concepts with Todd Monken? Duh. Would he do that without the passing game coordinator title? Uh-huh. Is he sitting there on Saturday giving input on plays? Yep. Would he be doing that without the pass game coordinator title? Uh-huh. Okay. Is it just a title? Probably. Does it mean that he gets a reason for the school to give him an additional bonus? You bet your bottom dollar. Okay. So what does the passing game coordinator do? He puts input on the route concepts that they do on Saturday, that they run, the package that they like that week against the coverage concepts that they're facing. I would imagine that the wide receiver coach at every program does that. I don't imagine that. I guarantee you that, unless they're awful at what they do. What does run game coordinator mean for Dale McGee? It means he helps put in the run game package. I would hope the running backs coach does that. Not to be demeaning of said title, but is he the next OC? I don't think so. I think whoever your next OC is, yeah, you might hire in-house. Brian McClendon will probably get an interview, as will Buster Faulkner, but it's the University of Georgia. You are arguably the best program in college football right now. For the next 5 years, your death machine looks like the death machine in college football sitting here today. I'm not the only one saying that. Okay. And it's not because I got the Sports Illustrated Georgia edition sitting right here. Turn on television, turn on the radio. Everybody's talking about how Georgia's the next one. So if you're the next death machine, guess what? When your OC title opens up, if and when it ever opens up, okay, that sucker going to be going everywhere. Everybody is going to apply for that job. Top names everywhere, except for the 32 active NFL OCs. And hell, you might even be able to get a couple of them to sit down and talk about coming down to Georgia and being an offensive coordinator. So there you go. Last question. The last two questions. Dawgs Tags 5 says, what type of offense can effectively... Bet y'all didn't know I'm a cat guy, huh? What are you doing over here? Chillest cat in the world. What type of offense can effectively create havoc against our defense? What has been our most effective personnel package that we have run on offense, and why? 12 personnel, obviously 2 best football players and weapons in Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers on the field simultaneously. As for who could create the most havoc against your defense, man, I first of all, I think you have to have a rushing threat at quarterback and have to be willing to run him, because running into light boxes against Georgia is inevitable. They don't think you can run the football against them if they play light box anyways. If you have 6 blockers and a ball carrier, they'll put 6 defenders in the box. They don't give a damn. So if you can put 6 blockers in the box, a ball carrier, and a rushing, willing quarterback threat, you might actually be able to run the football against the University of Georgia. And if you can actually run the football against Georgia, you can actually have an opportunity to score the football against Georgia. Every single week, we talk about all, like last week, everyone was hounding on the bunch into the boundary and all the explosives that Tennessee has in the passing offense. They held them to 2.4 yards per attempt, I believe, last week. 2.8 the year before. You stop the run, you stop it. Like, end of story. Florida, the game in Florida, every single year is the same story. I think for 9 straight years in that matchup between Florida and Georgia, the team who has the most rushing yards wins. Your coach tells you every single week, the SEC, if you can't control the line of scrimmage and block and tackle, you're not going to win. Y'all block and tackle pretty damn well. and you run the football and you stop teams from running the football. Does Chaz Chambliss have a similar ceiling as Robert Beal? No, because he's not 6'5". All right, that is the Patreon questions. Let's hit these super chats right quick. Oh, God, we're loaded. We're way behind. Here we go. We will start our super chat brigade with Dan Kiley. He says, what is preventing UGA from landing the top offensive line prospects in the current and future classes? A loaded room is the question. So, yes, great point at the end there from Dan. It is a really loaded room. I would imagine that when Alabama sits down with a five-star offensive guard and says, hey, dude, look, Micah Morris ain't been on the field in 3 years up there. He's a damn good football player. Matter of fact, we had him higher rated than you coming out of high school, out of Camden County High School. He ain't sniffed the football field. He's not a bad football player. Ain't on it. Dylan Fairchild, Adidas All-American, can't get on the football field. Jared Wilson, my guy, coming out of high school. Damn dude. Good football player. Can't get on the football field. Austin Blaschke, multitude. A damn Swiss Army knife. Great football player. Can't get on the football field. They have a real blockchain right there in that room across the entire offensive line. Chad Lindbergh was, I believe, the 7th-ranked offensive tackle coming out of high school. That guy plays everywhere except for Georgia. He's not playing at Georgia. Okay, so those guys are probably examples as to why, the J.C. Lathams don't come to Georgia, or, I don't know, some prominent names that they've missed out on. Obviously, the Francis Muiego that's going to Miami, a big 5-star, didn't even sniff Georgia. The kid out of Iowa that I'm blanking a name on because I'm not prepared for these questions, and that's live television. These guys, they didn't even really get sniffed on in the 23 class, didn't even really take visits. Roderick Kearney didn't take a visit to the University of Georgia, I don't believe. The big offensive tackle, Samson Aklanola, he took an unofficial visit to Georgia. Don't believe they made the top 5 officials. So your point as to them not landing the superstars in this class is 100% adamant. I've been upfront with Patreon as to one of the primary reasons why. Your offensive line coach retired, guys. He retired almost as soon as the parade ended in January. So there is a likelihood and a possibility that the 4 months during the season prior to his retirement, maybe he didn't recruit the hardest. Here we go. Probably hurt you really bad in the 23 class. Robert asks, do we need to temper ourselves with the thoughts of a repeat? No, you don't need to temper. Guys, y'all, I'm not the fan guy, so I'm not the one to ask here with regards to like feelings and whether or not you should temper expectations or what expectations even should be. But here's the deal. You're going to be a 16.5 point favorite at the least moving forward. Okay. You'll probably be a 14-point favorite against Kentucky, maybe more. I think you should be more of a favorite against Kentucky. I think you steamroll that football team. I think they don't know who they are. This weekend might be tough for a couple quarters. I think you eventually roll over that football team as well. You're getting in the college football playoff. That's what last weekend meant. So get to the college football playoff and figure it out. I think you're the best football team in the country. I think you and Ohio State, week in and week out, look to be the least flawed football teams. So there you go. Yeah, you got a damn good shot of repeating as national title winners. And again, I don't believe in this. You guys are the reason that your football team showed up and played flat, or you can cause some type of should we be nervous about expectations? No, your coach has talked about this. You are the University of Georgia. You have already won a national title, and before you won a national title, your head coach walked around the building demanding that you win one. So it's all good. It's all good that there are demands and expectations that Georgia now goes on to repeat. Were those the expectations at the beginning of the year? Absolutely not. But if you went through the schedule, it was hard to find 2 losses. Honest to God, preseason, nobody was predicting Georgia to have 2 losses. So you knew you were going to have a chance in the SEC championship game, which meant you had a chance to go to the college football playoff, which meant you had a chance to win a national title. I think we had that going into our minds as experts, even going into the season. Appreciate the question, Robert. Kevin Craig asks, do either of the 2 Alabama kids have realistic chances of making it to Athens in the 23 class? Obviously, he's talking about Caleb Downs and Justice Haynes. Georgia needs to get James and Quay Rousseau to return the favor. All right, so let's do this. I think the first two names on that list, Justice and Caleb Downs, can't miss prospects. I think if you have an opportunity to flip them, I think you have an opportunity to flip one more than the other. Still, chances really slim with both. I think if you have any chance to do anything with any four of those names mentioned, there's only two of them that you absolutely have to have: Justice Haynes and Caleb Downs. If you miss on either one of them, it's a loss. I don't think the other two names mentioned in that comment are must-have prospects for me, and I could be wrong. But for my board, James Smith wasn't all that high on it. Quay Rousseau was definitely not all that high on it. Quay Rousseau for me is a very, very tough eval because Georgia no longer really recruits 6'2", 225, 230-pound edge rushers. Look what they did in 2022. If you weren't 6'4", they weren't offering you at that position. They didn't care. Look what they're doing in 2023. It's all like Sam and Pimba, 35 arms. Okay. Damon Wilson, 6'6". Okay. Gabe Harris down there at IMG Academy, 6'5", 240. They want avatars. They no longer want Von Millers. Okay. Quay Rousseau might turn into a Von Miller. I don't know that. That's like the ceiling. That's the hopes. That's the prayers. Georgia's not looking for 6'2.5" edge rushers anymore. Okay. They want big, long, tall. That's what they're looking for. They want guys that can clear or rather cloud the passing windows moving forward. All right. That's all of the super chats, I believe. Let's knock out the rest of these cues. Fire them up, folks. We are officially into the YouTube comments. Let's get after it. Nathan Misk, before the show, 8 minutes before the show even starts, dude is elite. Nathan asks, what are the advantages / disadvantages to Mississippi State's 3-3-5 defense? Shouts out Propel. We got that Kiwi Strawberry tonight. Advantages, Havoc. Okay. Has a propensity to really confuse people. You'll see a lot of tackle for losses. Good 3-3-5 odd stack teams will lead the nation in tackle for losses. They will lead the nation in run havoc plays, but they also might lead the nation in explosive runs because those are the disadvantages. For every stunt, scheme, twist that confuses an offensive line, every time it gets picked up, it's like throwing a hanging curveball in baseball. Some bitch, they might hit it a mile. Right. That's the same thing that happens to these odd defenses when maybe the stunt doesn't quite hit correctly, or maybe they don't run it properly and there's a misalignment. We put two guys in one hole. All of a sudden, B gap's as wide as Brooks's fat butt. And then boom, Kenny McIntosh is banging his head on the goalpost. Those are the disadvantages to the offense. Advantages, obviously, the havoc plays. Marion Campbell, you are a stud. Don't forget the sponsor. Hey, I wasn't forgetting the sponsor. We were waiting for peak viewership, baby. Thegramco.com, promo code Brooks25 will get you 25% off on all your Delta 8 needs. Big gummy guy, obviously. You guys see me. What kind of idiots out here drinking coffee at 8:15? It's your boy. So at 9:50, when I'm ready to just, crawl out of my own skin because the caffeine's just going nuts, it's time to cool down. Gramco.com, promo code Brooks25, get you 25% off. Appreciate you there, man. All righty, let's see here. Do the Mississippi State fans really stop their cowbells when the center gets over the ball? I have no clue. We're about to find out Saturday. My first time to Starkville. Kind of excited to see it. Does Kirby let Mississippi State dink and dunk them, or do they have more of an aggressive game plan? Here's what I'll tell you. They now they actually have defensive backs able to kind of play man-to-man. We saw that last weekend against Tennessee. In 2020, they were terrified. I'm not going to say terrified, but they were scared to play man. And they played man one time. Mark Webb got beat on a corner route, 65-yard touchdown later. And Kirby's like, to hell with that shit. We're going to make this kid sit here all night and complete 80% of his passes. And that's what he did. So, is he going to sit in soft zone all night? I don't think it's going to be soft as in years past. I think it's going to be zone coverage all night, but I think it's going to be zone coverage that turns kind of into zone match coverage after 5 yards. So get in their face, disrupt them, resettle into your zone, find whoever's now entering it, lock and latch, and let's roll. That's how I would play defense against these football guys, or against this football team, rather. I'm actually going to tweet out right now the link to this show on StreamYard. First 4 or 5 people that hop in here get to ask live Q&A. So we're going to take a little call-in show. We're going to tweet this out now. If you want to hop on it, check that link over on Twitter. All right, here we go. Let's get to our next question. We already asked that one. Kevin Craig, how much does the Georgia-Tennessee result help to sway 23-24 recruits? Any names you can share? I think it kind of solidified what 23 recruits felt about you. 24, I had a bunch of people do the, why aren't we getting multitudes of commitments? Know something about your football program now, guys. You guys are the selective few. Y'all get to pick and choose who you want. Why in the hell a bit would Georgia take a commitment from a 2024 guy that they don't really know where fits on their board, right? They took a linebacker commit, and I'm going to blank on his name right now, out of Alabama just this past weekend, Thursday before the game, right? Why did they take that guy? Well, I don't know. Top linebacker in the country, they felt like. Best football player available at the position. So they greenlighted the kid because he called up and said, hey, I'm ready. I'm done. We're going to shut this thing down. Y'all are the best football team in the country. I want to play for the University of Georgia. Let's do it. So DeMarcus Riddick. So when the best football players in the country call and say, I want to be a Georgia Bulldog, we'll get the edit ready for you, son. Right? But when it's a guy that maybe might end up in our class and calls and says, Kirby, I want to be a dog. He says, that's great, son. We love it. We absolutely love it. But we ain't going to put that wedding ring on your finger just yet because we're going to find out, basically, right? That's kind of the vibe moving forward because, again, you're the University of Georgia. These guys want to come play for you, not the other way around. You are no longer hunting matches. You're looking for the best football players available, okay? Best football players available. Super chat right here. Remy asks, what are your thoughts on Bama's lack of receiver production? Also, why isn't Jermaine Burton tearing it up individually? He was one of your guys. All right, so here's what I've learned about Jermaine. Or I shouldn't say about Jermaine. Here's what I learned about my process through, thank you for the super chat, by the way, through Jermaine Burton and learning kind of lessons as an evaluator through this. First of all, it got way too close. Saw him way too much. Just fell way too much in love with what I saw in workouts and should have realized, hey, this is a SEC player, yes, and that everyone around him, all of the others around him, there might be one or two Power 5 football players in this whole group of like 80 kids that you're watching. So though I watched Jermaine Burton 150 times over an 18-month span when he was working out in Atlanta with Terrence Edwards before going to Georgia, though I saw all of those things and never saw him drop a football, I should have realized that, hey, we are in T-shirts and shorts. Don't go crazy, even though the game tape was insane. But that's just a miss. I should have known that, like, hey, 6 foot, 185, 190 pounds doesn't play out a lot unless the guy is like super, super twitchy and super, super athletic, which I felt he was, but I was kind of overlooking the maybe 4.6 runner. Okay, knew he wasn't a 4.38 like guy because I've seen Josh Downs. Same workout, same facility. It looks different. I know it looks different. Here's the other thing I overlooked. 5 transfers, 4 years. Duh. Okay. But I can't keep doing 5 transfers 4 years because it's high school football. It's 2022. Or else I would think Bear Alexander was going to be trash coming into high school. 4 high schools, 4 years. I can't do that every single time. But sometimes that, I guess, stereotype of, oh, he transferred 5 times in high school, red flag. Sometimes it might play out because it's not necessarily like the kid checking out every time, but there is a propensity to check out somewhere. Someone is willing to say, to hell with this, let's move on to the next one. And eventually that becomes a habit, and eventually that trickles down into your work ethic and kind of how you show up and how you show up day in and day out. Long story short, I don't know what's happening to Jermaine Burton. But no, I missed. That was my guy coming out of high school. And yeah, miss. I guess you could call it a miss for the sake of my guys are supposed to be ballers. Okay. Those are my versions of 5 stars. Okay. If I label a dude in a class a my guy, I'm going to bat for that one. And yeah, we lost. We struck out. All right. Hunter Warren says, in terms of his Georgia production, the guy might go on to be an NFL guy. Who the hell knows? Hunter Warren says, I don't think I've seen Xavier Sori play since Kent State. Why do you think that? Package based, they if you notice, Sori's coming in on rabbit packages, typically like during the early part of the season, right? Could also be performance based. I didn't think he played that bad. I just don't think he was playing that much anyways. They've kind of gone much more dime and kind of kept just one or two linebackers on the field when they do so, as opposed to getting Sori on the field. Maybe they think the other packages in there, the other guys in their rabbit package on third and mediums, third and longs, provide a better success rate as a rusher. That is the key there, right? Xavier Sori did not get on the field on 3rd and 7 to be a great cover linebacker. No. He got on the field because they thought he could get the quarterback down. And if he wasn't doing that, they're going to find someone else that they think can or has displayed the ability to get the quarterback down. If that makes any sense. Brooks has a cat was a question. Yes, we do. We do have a cat. My wife, big cat lady, not into cats myself, hated cats actually growing up. But to be quite frank, this cat's like a dog. He's chill as shit. You saw me pick him up and just toss him. That's the Brody. His name's Bolt. He's cool. Might have been because of all the secondhand substances that he absorbed in college. If you know, you know. Let's see here. Where we at? I think we're just going to hit Daniel here. Did you think it hurt Alabama when Kirby went to Georgia as far as the defense? We already hit this one. We already answered that question. Paymuck in a bag. Let's see here. Brooks Austin, the cat guy. We got to get to some questions here. Who does UGA not want to see in this semis? I think Ohio State, I said it earlier, I think Ohio State's the second best football team in the country. I think they can score, and they have big enough bodies up front. If they remain gap sound, might be able to hold up in the run game against Georgia. And you know that's the key. Man, you guys are shy. That's what I've learned. You guys are shy. No, like everybody talks that talk. Everybody talks about how they want to be on, they want to do what I do. You know how many times I hear that? I want to talk sports for a living, Brooks. And then, by God, I tweet out a public link for everybody to hop on here, and we got a bunch of little sissies. We got a bunch of sissies that don't want to come show their face and give their takes. I mean, come on. I'm giving you an opportunity. If you think you can do this, I hear from people all the time, Brooks, I want to do it. I want to do what you do. Come on. Come lay a take on me. We're giving you an opportunity, a platform bigger than you will ever find on your own, most likely, unless you are an actual dude showing up into this Twitter, this StreamYard right now. All right. So if you got some chops, let's come on. Y'all are funny. Jacob Holland, what does UGA not want to see in the semis? We already get that one. Marion Campbell, what about that elite deep snapper? Talking about Will Snellings? Hey, Whitewater's finest. I saw Will Snellings last year to start the football season, was calling a high school football game. He was still playing linebacker for Whitewater. He's a guy. Like, he is a mid-major level, like, could go play for Middle Tennessee State at Mike linebacker type of guy. All right. But yeah, he's a dude. He's like 0.63 on his snap times. He's gonna throw some seeds and go tackle some people. Oh, Dan. See, that doesn't count, Dan. That doesn't count, man. Like you get run on this platform all the time, dude. I wanted a stranger that thinks they got chops to show up.
I just didn't want you here by yourself, brother. I'm just here for you. I came here for you. I wanted to piggyback on that question. Who didn't Georgia want to see in the playoffs, right? And I agree with you. Ohio State, very dangerous team. The one thing that always concerns me is playing a team twice. And I know that Tennessee's not as good as us. I get that. But at the same time, having to beat somebody twice is very, very difficult. So if I'm Georgia, I don't want to see Tennessee a second time, or Oregon for that matter. And just selfishly, I want to see Georgia beat the hell out of Ohio State. I just want to see that happen. So that's the team that I would love to see them play as Ohio State. But for me, it's just I really hate playing a team twice.
So I would subscribe to this theory of I hate to play a team twice. First of all, though, it doesn't really happen a ton in college football because of conference alignment. But I'm not a proponent of this because here's the deal. This theory revolves around game plans and game plans not working, seeing them the second time, right? Having a familiarity with what your opponent is doing and then capitalizing on that familiarity. Well, here's the problem. Georgia did the same game plan they did in 2021 when they went up to Tennessee and did the same shit with better players. Okay. They ran the same game plan at home. The concern wouldn't be facing the same opponent twice. It would be the neutral field aspect to me, because your edge rushers now aren't getting off with a 2 second, maybe a 0.2 second advantage that they are at home. You're not playing in 1st and 15s a ton, 2nd and at 13s because you got false starts. 3rd and 2s don't turn into 3rd and 12s really, really quickly because you have 2 consecutive false starts. So those would be the fears about facing Tennessee twice. But here's my thing. I think that football game on a turf field in a dome last Saturday, that son of a gun, that game might be 42-22. Or 42-20 by the end of it. They were beating the ever-loving piss out of Tennessee for 2 full quarters going into midway through the third before the rain started falling. So I don't know if a neutral field scares me off from that at all one bit. Oregon, I know they look like a much better football team. I know Kenny Dillingham and that offensive coordinating staff has had an ability to settle in and have time to settle in and get Bo Nix to settle in. And that's a main thing with that Tasmanian devil of a quarterback that he is. But, dude, they don't have the guys. They don't have the dudes. Oregon does not have the football players to stand in for 4 quarters in a college football playoff, 15 games into a football season. I do not believe that. Appreciate your call, Dan.
All right.
All right. We have a rule here on the channel. Must, and I mean must, have a camera. And as much as I love SSL, we can't go to them. So we got to go to clock right now, unless SSL can figure out that camera issue. If not, we're going to have to stay with him. Let's go to Clock. Clock, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm looking, bro, I can eyeball scout a dude even on Zoom right now. You look a good 6'3".
That's pretty accurate.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'2.5".
Yeah, I would say about 6'2.5", 285.
Ooh, right on.
Hey, I'm telling you, dude,
Hey,
I got that.
That's a good eval. You make up for that eval on Jermaine Burton,
all
right?
I got you was from chest up. That's it. I got you from chest up and nailed you within a
For
half
sure.
inch and 5 pounds. Damn, I'm gonna put that on my man. When I apply for an NFL scouting job, I'm putting that on the resume. Just a video clip. Check this out. I got eyeball scout a dude from the tits up. What you got for me, Clock?
So posted a question earlier, was wondering about Georgia's game plan defensively, particularly with the defensive line. Like I thought back to last year when we played Alabama in the SEC championship. Looked like defensive line play guys were kind of playing more contained and not trying to get upfield. Wondering if after seeing how Bama looked like they maybe tried to do the same thing against Tennessee this year, trying to play contain, if that was a drastic difference in what we tried when we played Tennessee.
So against Tennessee particularly, I didn't notice like a one specific type of rush or if they were doing one type of thing. I noticed a football team that knew they had guys behind them that could cover. So it was more of a like pursue with relentlessness, right? Like you have a freedom, yes, to get upfield. You have a freedom to push the pocket. But also knowing that we're playing man coverage behind this, guys. So if he breaks contain and the spy does not get him down, everyone's back's turned to the quarterback, right? Except for the 2 safeties or the single safety that has his eyes down on the quarterback. So I didn't necessarily see like a one more favorable rushing style than the other. I saw a football team that, was definitely pinning their ears back. But I saw that last year as well. And Tennessee's offense is very, like, when they run the ball kind of C-gap to C-gap. It's not a bunch of, like, jet sweeps or toss sweeps or buck sweeps or truck sweeps or anything that's, like, C-gap and beyond. They're very much so tackle to tackle, kind of downhill run game, and then everything works outside the numbers off of that from a passing game standpoint. So that gives defensive linemen the freedom to really like push upfield, like really like push blockers upfield, rush upfield, get everything upfield because they're not going outside of you, right? We don't have to worry about keeping contained. Great question though, Clock. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dude, I know y'all were somewhat impressed. Come on. I just scouted Buddy on a damn Zoom screen and just drilled him down. Didn't mean to put Buddy's height and weight out on blast like that, but I know 285 is sexy when I see it. I see it, Clock, right there. Let's get on to our next questions. If anybody wants to join the chat, feel free to do so. Love doing that. That's fun. Let's see here. Do you think the mailman gets drafted? Tremendous question, David Heath. Have already somewhat addressed this on Twitter this week. I think Stetson Bennett is an NFL football player. You can shoot me. You can call me stupid. You can do whatever. I watch him run away from NFL football players. I watched him run away from Will Anderson in the NFL or the NCAA championship. I've watched him throw into tight windows that can't get any tighter than they already are. I've seen him process. I've seen him turn his back to the defense like all these Shanahan offenses require their quarterbacks to do. I've seen him play on script and on time like all of these West Coast offenses require quarterbacks to do. I've seen him play with a tremendous amount of athleticism, which the NFL requires you to do. I've seen him stand and win inside the pocket despite his height. I've seen him do everything it requires to play on Sundays in the best conference in college football. I like Robert Griffin to death. Robert Griffin put out his top 10 Heisman candidates today. Not a single mention of Stetson Bennett. Guys, he's 6th in the country in passing. He's 2nd in the SEC in passing. Why are we acting like dude's not putting up stats? And by the way, he's throwing it like 65% as many times as everybody else. For 3 throws for Hendon Hooker, for 4 throws for Will Rogers, Stetson's getting 2. And he's putting up almost equal statistical yardage as everybody else. What are we doing? Excuse me, self-correction here. Hendon Hooker's got fewer attempts than Stetson, but you get what I'm saying. The dude is absolutely playing right now. He's playing really, really well for the best team in football. There you go. I think he's an NFL football player, yes. If you could choose any player to add to UGA's roster from any current college, who would it be? Harvin Marison Jr., for sure. Harvin Marison Jr., 6'3", true X receiver, best receiver in college football. Yes, his name is Marvin Harrison Jr. To me, he's Harvin Marison Jr. Brooks, I have sent all the haters or UGA football your way because you have by far the best breakdown of what makes Georgia operate like a bunch of monsters. Hope the traffic gets your way. Rocky Dennis, I appreciate it for sure, bro. Rocky, I appreciate it. No doubt. I try definitely to be elite with the film study. I also try to provide a stand-up show once a week, but I, for the life of me, have just been mentally fried in terms of sitting down and trying to write a show sheet. Because by then I've already written like 4 articles, edited 3 or 4 more. And by then I'm exhausted. So Q&As like this tonight, if you guys enjoy this, man, I certainly love doing them because it requires little to no effort for me other than just showing up, turning a microphone on and talking to you guys. And that's fine with me. But I know you guys like NBR as well. So I will try 100% to continue to get those in. I get a lot of people that are like, hey man, NBR is my favorite thing that you do. Yeah, it's just me giving takes, man. I like it too. It's just a lot. It's a lot to put together when you're self-produced for an hour long. What is the biggest concern with this Georgia team? I think I've hit the nail on the head on this. A propensity to turn the football over. You avoided that for the most part last week, except for the fumbles. One of those was rain-induced. The other one was just Dejon Edwards taking it off of his chest, which is uncommon for him. You're very, very turnover-prone, which is kind of dangerous, even if you are a great football team. That would be one of my primary concerns. By the way, what's up, Elijah? I think it's Elijah. I hung out with him down in Jacksonville. That would be one primary concern offensively. Defensively, I don't really have one. I really don't. I think defensively, you're really, really stout and solid. Maybe depth defensively. That would be the only thing that concerns me. A major injury or two, particularly the defensive backfield, and what is a strength of your unit now becomes a not a question mark, but a how are we going to fill this void type of question. Let's see here. Robert asks, do you believe Aaron Murray with the 3-peat talk? Y'all know my evaluation of Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck has an opportunity to throw for like 3,500 yards next year, 36 touchdowns. He'll throw 5 interceptions, 6 interceptions, and he'll be a first-round draft pick. There you go. Said it right now. So does that lead to a 3-peat? I don't know. A lot of things. The schedule is definitely favorable. Okay, because now, I mean, can you find a top 25 matchup on that schedule? Except for Ole Miss, maybe Ole Miss. Can you find one? because who knows what Tennessee's going to look like next year by the time they get to mid-October, mid-November, by the time they got to play Georgia. So that schedule next year looks like three-peat more than anything else, as does Carson Beck. So I'm good with it. Who's a surprising rising star? Brian Smith asked. I think if you haven't been watching our network, you would probably say Javon Ballard. But if you've been anywhere near us, that hadn't been a shock. What else? Who else? I should say. For me, I've loved watching Broderick Jones play this year. I've been infatuated with Cedric Van Pran-Granger on film this year. I've loved watching Stetson Bennett develop as a quarterback this season as well on film. So somebody asked me the other day, like, who's my favorite current player? I don't have them because I'm so consumed with studying your football team. But doing that, I develop favoritism towards certain football players in the way that in which that they carry themselves and how they handle their business on the football field. So if you want to know those names, definitely 100% 63. Cedric Van Pran-Granger. You're not going to watch another one like that anytime soon at the center position, guys. So if you know offensive line play, if you appreciate great offensive linemen for who they are and what they look like, 63 is one of them. I've had a joy watching 59 play this year, Broderick Jones, just because of how communicative he is and how much of a joy he has, rather, playing the game of football. I've enjoyed watching that as well. And Stetson. Those have been my guys. Defensively, it's JDJ and Smile Mondon. Probably Smile Mondon, just because athletically, I'm always fascinated by watching superhumans do superhuman shit, and that's one of them. That guy does all kinds of crazy stuff on film. So definitely those kind of names right there, if you will. Let's see here. All right. We're going to go to Tobias Flynn. What's up, my boy?
What's up, man? It's pronounced Tobias.
Tobias. Yeah, that's on me. I should have known. I-U-S. There's no O in there. That's why I should have known. Tobias. There you go. That's on me.
All right. Yeah. Hey, great job, by the way, man. I enjoy the show, man. I try to turn as many people on as I can to you. But we talk about the staff. I think Georgia has one of the most complete staff. But when we mention the defense, everyone always mentions Kirby's, of course. They mentioned Schumann, Muschamp. But I think Fran Brown is kind of getting left out in the mix on that defensive side. And also, could you tell us what is Coach Cochran's job right now? His title? His
professional hype man. Professional hype man is not a good term for it,
right?
But his job is Coach Cochran is a professional relationships guy. Okay. Any player that's ever been recruited by him absolutely loves him. Any coach that's ever coached with him loves him. So in a world of college football where we're talking about 18 to 22-year-old individuals who can sometimes be rather irrational, having someone in their corner that they know is a proponent of players at all times and truly loves them, cares for them, and displays that care and nurturing fashion every single day. Those people are assets to your coaching staff. It's the reason that he was brought over. It wasn't because he was going to be a great special teams coordinator, right? It wasn't anything to do with that. It was a cultural asset acquisition, and that's what he's continuing to be for the University of Georgia. When I see him, when I'm on sidelines pregame or postgame or whenever I see Scott Cochran, the thing that I notice more, other than his very, very intimidating, serious demeanor, is the interactions and the response on the faces of others when they meet eye contact with him. That makes sense. So watching the players' reaction when Coach Cochran walks up tells me everything I need to know as to why he is on the staff and what his role on the staff is. His role on the staff is cultural asset, if that makes sense. So that's to answer your question. As for Fran Brown, dude, his first game at the University of Georgia, he flipped corners, field and boundary. He did something at the University of Georgia I had not seen Georgia do in 6 years under Kirby Smart as a defensive head coach. So is the dude a star? Is the dude a stud? Hell yeah. One of the greatest defensive minds in the world allowed him to change something game one of his regime at this football program. So yeah, Fran Brown's got the steel blue check in that football room when it comes to the coaching staff. So hell of a question, my man. Appreciate you for stopping by.
All right, man. See ya.
Hey, Kyle, we got a rule here. Kyle's backstage, but Kyle, we got a rule. No camera, no play. No camera, no play. Okay, we can't get in here and just get them audio in there. We kicked SSL out, and he's been a proponent of this program from day friggin' one. So we ain't gonna let nobody in here without them cameras. We got 6 minutes left, guys. So get the questions in. There he is. He's a listener. I like that. Kyle, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Hey, what's up? I'm actually just a lurker right now. I'm kind of occupied. I got my daughter, first year of college. I'm trying to help her with some math.
What kind of math?
It's math modeling is what it's called.
Math modeling is that what? So are kids even doing like algebra nowadays? Like
It's basically
is it
it's
trig?
algebra. Yeah,
It's basically algebra. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, whatever's on the left got to be equal on the right. That's all I got for you. You know, carry the two. You know,
that works.
Watch out for the parentheses and the exponentials. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna lurk if that's all right with you.
No, you're good, Kyle. Appreciate you, brother. Hey, anything that lets me get off a couple math jokes, I'm here for it. Right. Something about this new math I'm gonna have to find out about. Something parents on Facebook are already complaining about in the local neighborhood chat. So can't wait for it. Cannot wait for it. We got a couple years before the kids are in actual math classes, so we don't have to worry about that. So we'll have to figure that out when we get here. Man, we got. I love it when the girls 18 online starts popping up in the chat. Gotta love that. All right, let's see here. Question from underscore smiles right here says, how much of this team do you feel is being lost to the draft? I mean, as good as this is going to be hard, man, because I like last year I felt like we kind of knew, right? Like Trayvon Walker, 6'5", 275, 20 plus mile an hour on the GPS. Like you knew Freakazoid Avatar, first round draft pick, knew it was going to happen. Jordan Davis almost won the Heisman, almost got invited to New York, knew it was going to happen, right? Who else? Lewis Cine kind of surprised me, jumped onto the scene. Devontae Wyatt, we knew midway through the season. I was telling you going into the season, this dude was a top 60 pick, just returned to Georgia for a fifth year in college, ended up being a first-round draft pick. Quay Walker, I think we all kind of knew. Avatar, 6'4", 240, runs really, really well. Out here playing, but his junior tape was like, third-round draft pick, got to figure out some reads. If he figures it out, first-round draft pick ceiling. Well, he figured it out hella quick his senior year. So how many of these guys are leaving from this year's draft? I mean, you know you're going to lose Chris Smith. Chris Smith has done a tremendous amount of improvement on his draft stock. I think Keely Ringo does declare. I think it's hard not to hear people tell you that you're at worst a top 60 pick and decide to come back for college. That's dangerous to me in terms of evaluation standpoint, unless you just truly love college football. And if you do, that's fine. NIL has allowed you to create some type of nest egg and create some type of insurances with regards to protecting your income. But if I heard a top 60 eval, we outie fight thouty. Jamon Dumas Johnson, Smile Mondon have to stay another year. Javon Ballard has to stay another year. Kamar Laster has to stay another year. Jalen Carter obviously gone. Warren Brinson, I don't know. I think maybe the physical attributes say NFL football player, the skill set and scoring, or rather the performance to this point has not indicated NFL football player. AD Mitchell has to come back for another year. Darnell Washington gone, I would imagine, definitely for sure gone. Second round draft pick, probably. The injury history will keep him out of the first, and just the scheme versatility will keep him out of the first. Teams that do stuff like Jacksonville, where they don't play an inline tight end, they're not going to draft Darnell Washington. Why would they? They got nothing for a 6'9", 280-pound tackle who can take, average 17 yards a catch right now in college football. They got nothing for that. Every Kyle Shanahan football team does, though. But if they're not, tight end heavy, right? We're dwindling our options, right? So to be a first round tight end, in my opinion, you have to be so versatile that no matter what coach comes in here, we're going to be able to run offense with you. And Darnell doesn't quite fit that mold, but he definitely fits top 60 eval type of football player. So I think that kind of rattles everyone off. You're going to lose Broderick Jones. You're probably going to lose Cedric Van Pran Granger. I think that's it. Brock Bowers has to come back for another year. So there you go. Do you think Brock Bowers will be a top 5 pick? Yes, absolutely. Top 5. I don't know. Man, it's hard. Top 5, it all kind of depends on who shakes out, who's there, who manipulates, how many quarterbacks are available. Is it a 5-quarterback draft? Are 3 teams going to leverage to get into the top 5 for quarterbacks? The other 2 teams that are in the top 5 going to stick there because they need edge rushers. Very, very dependent upon what draft shakes out. Is he going to be one of the best 5 football players available in said draft? Yes, that's the question you need to ask. All right, the meme king himself, the Discord savant, Chef Baby. Chef Baby has shown up. Chef, what we got, brother?
Good, brother.
I'm good. You got some chicken wings? What you got? What was you cooking today?
Yeah, I was definitely cooking some chicken wings earlier, but I'm at the house now.
Hell yeah. What kind of wings? What's your best wing? What's your go-to wing for the folks that don't know about Chef?
Probably spicy honey peach. It's a hot sauce we make in-house.
Spicy honey peach? That just sounds sexy. What's up, Chef? What you got for me?
Hey, I was just want to know which unit has impressed you the most this season?
Ooh. Man, I can't be the fat guy. I got to be the film guy, right? The fat guy in me loves the way this offensive line unit has played. Okay. The effort, most importantly, the effort. Look, whoever hires me to be a football coach moving forward, if you hire me to be your offensive line coach, I promise you this. I don't know if we'll be the best. I don't know if we'll be the most diverse. I don't know if we'll do a bunch of stuff. I don't know what we'll do. I don't know who we will be, but I promise you this right now. They will play so god dang hard. I mean, tongue falling out hard. That, like, my offensive line coach used to refer to it as playing with your hair on fire. This offensive line from Georgia is not only one of the more talented units in college football, they play harder than anybody in college football. I truly believe that. And I think we show you that every single week on Patreon, Chef. You know that. So I think that unit, I didn't expect the defensive back unit to be like this much of a strap, right? Particularly when William Poole leaves the program, like early on in the year. Dan Jackson's a returning starter. It felt like early in the year, we didn't really know what Malachi Starks was going to be to start the season. We knew he was going to be decent, but freshman, you don't expect him to walk in and be a freshman All-American, lead the team in interceptions. So I think there's a level of unpredictability with that unit for them to come out and be a mainstay and kind of like allow them to change things with what they do schematically and defensively. That's important and that's vital. So yeah, those 2 for sure.
Sounds
Appreciate
good.
you, bro. All right. I think that's gonna be it. We hit a bunch of questions tonight. I appreciate y'all being here. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Tune into Dawgs Daily this weekend. We will be out in Stark, Vegas. If you're there, hit your boy up. I might be able to buy you a beer. No, I can't accept it. I had somebody try to hand me a 6-pack in Athens a couple weeks ago. I would love to sit there and just pound a 6-pack with you. But Kirby gonna smell the liquor when you walk up and ask him questions. And then guess what? No more credentials for Brooks. All right. And that would suck. So I can't take your game day beverages, though I want to very much so. See me after the game, and we might be able to talk something. You know what I'm saying? We might be able to split the bill after the game. Pre-game's all on me buying you drinks. So depending upon who you are and whether or not you want to take advantage of my niceness, maybe catch me pre-game. We'll see you guys next time. Love you.